Princess and the Queen's second child, the Princess Royal, the tireless, no-nonsense, fiercely independent woman who has spent decades defining what it means to be a modern royal, is stepping aside. That alone would be enough to shock the world. But the revelation that she intends to pass her crown directly to Princess Charlotte has sent ripples through Buckingham Palace, Downing Street, and every royal watcher's social media feed. It's a move that no one expected, not even the closest insiders. And the question that now hangs over the monarchy like a storm cloud is this: is Charlotte ready for what comes next, or is the weight of centuries of expectation simply too much for someone so young? But before we continue, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell for updates. To understand the magnitude of this transition, you have to understand Princess and herself. For decades, she has been the most underappreciated member of the royal family. Not because she lacked charisma or influence, but because she refused to play the games that so often define public perceptions of royalty. She doesn't chase tabloids. She doesn't pander to public opinion. She doesn't even bother with the hollow pleasantries that seem mandatory for other members of the family. And yet, her work ethic is unmatched. From countless charitable foundations to diplomatic missions and military patronages, and has done more, quietly and efficiently, than many of the monarchy's most celebrated faces combined. But there's a catch. The Princess Royal title, one of the most prestigious in the British monarchy, is more than just ceremonial. It carries responsibility, visibility, scrutiny, and an expectation that borders on suffocating. It's a position that few can navigate without criticism. And has made a decision that will redefine the future of the monarchy by handing it over to her eldest granddaughter, Princess Charlotte. A child who, until recently, was known primarily for her adorable public appearances, her bright smile, and occasional witty remarks captured by the press. But behind that youthful exterior lies a young royal who has been quietly, rigorously, and perhaps even secretly prepared for this moment her entire life. Charlotte's rise to the position of the next Princess Royal is not just about inheritance or bloodlines. It's about legacy. It's about lessons passed down from a grandmother she never knew, a queen she will one day serve, and a mother who, along with her father, Prince William, has nurtured her with a combination of discipline, warmth, and strategic guidance. Princess and has observed Charlotte from afar, noting every small detail, every demonstration of resilience, empathy, and intelligence. And the decision to pass the crown to Charlotte is as much about trust as it is about capability. It's a statement that and believes the monarchy's future rests in Charlotte's hands, but it also carries an undercurrent of tension. After all, royal history is littered with young heirs who were thrust into roles before they were truly ready, only to stumble under the weight of expectation. You might be wondering, what makes this story relevant now? Why would it make such a monumental decision in the midst of a monarchy under unprecedented scrutiny? The answer lies in a perfect storm of public perception, generational change, and political maneuvering. The royal family is at a crossroads. Public trust is fragile. Modern scrutiny is unrelenting. And as the older generation gradually steps back, the younger generation must rise. The monarchy needs a figure who can embody tradition while simultaneously resonating with a new, more global audience. Charlotte, with her poise, intelligence, and upbringing steeped in both royal heritage and modern values, represents that bridge between past and future. But here's the twist that no one saw coming. Charlotte's preparation has been far from ordinary. Behind the public appearances and official events, she has been undergoing an education in diplomacy, statecraft, and public relations that rivals any adult member of the family. From discreet mentorship sessions with palace aides to private briefings on national and international issues, Charlotte has been quietly absorbing knowledge at a level most of her peers could never imagine. And yet, despite all this preparation, the final test. Stepping into Anne's shoes, with all the scrutiny, expectation, and pressure, is one that cannot be simulated. One misstep, one misjudgment, and the entire narrative could shift. To complicate matters further, the move has unleashed a ripple of reactions across the royal family. Some members have expressed quiet support, believing that Charlotte is the perfect candidate to carry Anne's legacy forward. Others, however, have privately questioned whether a child, no matter how well prepared, can handle the enormous responsibilities of the Princess Royal. Even in herself has moments of doubt, moments where she wonders if the monarchy is asking too much of her granddaughter, moments where she reflects on her own youth and the trials she faced. And then there is the public. Imagine the reaction: headlines screaming, social media ablaze, commentators debating every nuance of Charlotte's suitability for the title. But what most people don't understand is that the transition isn't just about visibility. It's about power, influence, and the subtle, often invisible threads that hold the monarchy together. Every decision, every gesture, every speech Charlotte delivers will be analyzed not just for content, but for implication. The world will be watching. And so, as in steps back, she isn't merely passing a title. She's placing a young girl at the epicenter of history, a position fraught with risk and reward in equal measure. So how did Charlotte reach this point? The story begins decades ago, with a young and observing the intricate dance of palace life, learning the rules, bending some, defying others. It's a story of mentorship, of observation, and of a deliberate, almost surgical passing of wisdom from one generation to the next. Along the way, we uncover moments that few have ever seen. Late-night strategy sessions, private lessons in diplomacy, even lessons in humility and patience that Anne insisted were more important than any public accolade. And as we trace Charlotte's path from childhood to the precipice of one of the most significant transitions in modern monarchy, we begin to see not just a story of succession, but a story of preparation, resilience, and the quiet power of a grandmother's influence. But this isn't just a story about royal titles and ceremonies. At its heart, it's about legacy. It's about how the choices of one generation ripple through the lives of the next, shaping destinies in ways both subtle and profound. And in Charlotte's case, the stakes couldn't be higher. Because this isn't simply about inheriting a crown. It's about stepping into a role that defines the monarchy itself. How she navigates these waters, how she handles public perception, internal dynamics, and the weight of tradition will set the tone for the monarchy for decades to come. And just when you think you have a sense of the narrative, just when you think you understand the significance, there's a twist that few could anticipate. A revelation that will challenge everything you thought you knew about this transition. One that will test Charlotte's resolve, question the wisdom of Anne's decision, and shake the foundations of the royal hierarchy. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. To understand why Princess Charlotte's ascension to Princess Royal is such a seismic event, we must first understand the woman whose shoes she is about to fill, Princess Anne. Few members of the royal family carry the weight of history on their shoulders with such quiet determination. She is not flashy. She doesn't chase headlines. But every gesture, every duty, every decision she has made has contributed to a legacy that is both formidable and profoundly human. For decades, Anne has been the invisible engine behind countless charitable initiatives, military programs, and diplomatic missions. She has endured public scrutiny, family conflict, and the relentless gaze of the media without ever compromising her principles. Anne's reputation within the palace is that of a disciplinarian with a heart of gold. Colleagues describe her as fiercely efficient, exacting in her standards, and unapologetically honest. She doesn't tolerate laziness, deception, or frivolity. And yet, beneath that stern exterior lies a woman of profound empathy, someone who has learned to navigate the delicate balance between duty and emotion. It is this rare combination of resilience and compassion that Charlotte will now be asked to emulate, and it is why Anne's decision to pass her crown is more than symbolic. It is deeply strategic. The Princess Royal title itself carries extraordinary weight. It is not a title automatically inherited. It is conferred by the sovereign, and it represents centuries of tradition, responsibility, and expectation. The Princess Royal is expected to champion charitable causes, support the armed forces, and represent the monarchy at countless national and international events. Every speech is scrutinized, every gesture analyzed, every mistake magnified, and yet, Anne has thrived in this role. She has mastered the art of visibility without vanity, influence without ego, and resilience without complaint. Charlotte, by contrast, is still a child, albeit a remarkably perceptive and intelligent one. And the question now on everyone's lips is whether she can step into such a complex role while retaining the authenticity that has already made her beloved by the public. Anne's legacy is not just about duty, it is about mentorship. From the earliest days of Charlotte's life, Anne took a keen interest in observing her granddaughter. Unlike the rest of the family, Anne does not simply hand down advice or issue guidance from a distance. She watches, listens, and allows lessons to unfold organically. Childhood moments that seem trivial to outsiders, a perfectly executed curtsy at a public event, a poised answer during a school interview, a moment of empathy for a younger cousin, were quietly recorded in Anne's mind as indicators of Charlotte's potential. What the public sees as grace, charm, or youthful poise is, in reality, the result of years of subtle observation and carefully guided preparation. And yet, there is an inherent tension in this type of legacy, and knows, better than anyone, that the monarchy is an unforgiving arena. One misstep can overshadow a lifetime of service. The media can turn adoration into criticism in a heartbeat. The public can shift from admiration to skepticism with a single poorly judged statement or action. It is a world in which appearances are everything, yet substance is what truly endures. And Charlotte, though precocious and bright, is stepping into this arena at an age when most children are still learning the basics of social interaction. The contrast is stark, and the stakes are monumental. What makes Anne's legacy particularly daunting for Charlotte is its dual nature. On one hand, it is a roadmap, a blueprint for excellence in public service and royal duty. On the other, it is a burden, a set of expectations that few outside the palace walls could fully comprehend. Anne's relentless commitment has set a standard so high that it could either inspire Charlotte or intimidate her. Every public appearance Charlotte makes will inevitably be compared to Anne's decades of service. Every decision she takes will be measured against a lifetime of meticulous, principled action. And while Anne has the experience and wisdom to navigate these pressures, Charlotte must learn to do so almost in real time, with the entire world watching. Adding to the complexity is the nature of succession itself. While the monarchy may seem rigidly structured to outsiders, the reality is far more nuanced. Titles, responsibilities, and public expectations are constantly negotiated behind closed doors. Allies are made, loyalties tested, and strategic decisions taken with subtlety and discretion. Anne's choice to pass her crown to Charlotte was not made lightly. It involved careful consideration of the young princess's temperament, intellect, and emotional resilience, as well as an assessment of how the family, media, and public would respond. In many ways, it is a high-stakes gamble, a deliberate act of trust that carries enormous consequences. The pressure on Charlotte is compounded by the public's fascination with royal life. In today's media environment, every gesture, expression, and word is magnified. Social media amplifies scrutiny, creating a feedback loop in which praise and criticism arrive simultaneously and in real time. For a young princess, this can be overwhelming, and herself learned to navigate this scrutiny gradually over decades. Charlotte, however, has been groomed from a much younger age to understand, anticipate, and respond to public perception. It is a skill set that few children acquire naturally, and one that underscores the seriousness with which Anne has approached this transition. Yet, despite the pressures, there is a profound sense of optimism surrounding Charlotte's rise. Observers note her intelligence, empathy, and innate sense of decorum. Her parents, Prince William and Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, have played a pivotal role in fostering not just her public persona, but her inner character. They have instilled in her the values of service, humility, and resilience, complementing the lessons imparted by Anne. The resulting combination is a young royal who is both capable and human, prepared to carry forward the weight of tradition while engaging meaningfully with the modern world. And it is precisely this balance between preparation and youth, expectation and authenticity, visibility and discretion that makes Charlotte's story so compelling. She is not merely inheriting a title. She is stepping into a legacy that is at once inspiring and intimidating. The path ahead is filled with both opportunity and peril. Every decision she makes will shape perceptions of her competence, influence the public's view of the monarchy, and determine how her generation will navigate the delicate intersection of tradition and modernity. But perhaps the most fascinating aspect of this transition is the secrecy that surrounds it. While the world has been speculating, observing, and analyzing from a distance, and in Charlotte have been preparing in private, strategic lessons, private mentorship sessions, and carefully planned public appearances have all been designed to ensure that when the moment arrives, Charlotte is ready to assume her role with confidence and grace. And yet, even with meticulous preparation, there is no way to predict how the world will respond once the formal transition occurs. What Charlotte inherits is not merely a title. It is a lifetime of service, expectation, and responsibility. It is a mantle that has been carried by one of the most respected royals in history, and one that will now be tested in the hands of someone barely into her adolescence. The weight of legacy is both empowering and daunting, a double-edged sword that promises both honor and scrutiny. For Charlotte, the challenge will be not only to meet these expectations, but to redefine them, to make the title her own while honoring the lessons of her grandmother. And as the day approaches when Charlotte will officially assume the title of Princess Royal, one question remains. Will she rise to the occasion with the poise, intelligence, and resilience that Anne's legacy demands? Or will the pressures of public life and historic expectation prove too heavy for someone so young? The answer will unfold in the chapters ahead, revealing not just a story of succession, but a story of preparation, mentorship, and the remarkable capacity of a young princess to step into history. But what came next would challenge everything Charlotte thought she knew about the monarchy, and no one saw it coming. The first question that comes to mind is simple, yet shocking. Why would Princess, and a woman known for her unflinching dedication to duty and tradition, decide now to hand over one of the monarchy's most significant titles to her granddaughter? What few people realize is that Anne's decision was not sudden, nor purely ceremonial. It was the culmination of decades of observation, planning, and quiet strategizing, a plan so meticulously orchestrated that it has remained hidden from public view, and even many within the palace, until now. And has always been a master of foresight. While other members of the royal family might be swayed by public opinion or the relentless glare of the media, and thinks in decades, not months. From the moment Charlotte was born, she saw more than a child. She saw a potential heir to one of the most demanding and scrutinized roles in the world. And what distinguishes Anne from others is that she doesn't simply consider who is capable of performing duties. She considers who can carry a legacy with dignity, with grace, and with an understanding of the deeper responsibilities that most will never see. Behind closed doors, and has been quietly preparing Charlotte for years. She has created a hidden curriculum, lessons in diplomacy, charitable strategy, crisis management, and public speaking that rival the training programs of senior diplomats. What makes this preparation extraordinary is the subtlety. Charlotte is not aware, in the conventional sense, that she is being trained for a future crown. These lessons are woven seamlessly into her daily life. A discussion about international politics during dinner, a carefully orchestrated visit to a military base, a behind-the-scenes briefing on a charitable foundation. Each experience has been selected not for public acclaim, but for personal growth, equipping Charlotte with the tools she will need when her moment comes. And yet, Anne's planning goes beyond the individual. She has spent years navigating the internal dynamics of the royal family, anticipating how other members might react to Charlotte's rise. Some would undoubtedly celebrate the continuity of Anne's legacy. Others may see it as a challenge to their own influence or expectations. For Anne, managing these dynamics is as important as preparing Charlotte herself. She understands that the smoothest succession is one in which family support is secured in advance, that public perception is carefully shaped, and that potential internal conflicts are defused before they erupt. One palace insider revealed, on condition of anonymity, that Anne has always believed in preparing quietly, executing decisively. And this is exactly what she has done. Charlotte's readiness, as seen in carefully curated public appearances and discreet mentorship sessions, is not accidental. It is the product of Anne's strategic foresight, a plan in motion for years, operating beneath the surface, invisible to the casual observer. But there is another layer to Anne's hidden plans that makes this story even more compelling. While much of the public assumes that royal titles are handed down automatically or as a matter of tradition, the reality is far more complex. The title of Princess Royal is conferred at the discretion of the sovereign, and, of course, received hers from Queen Elizabeth II, who understood both her capability and her dedication. Yet, and has always known that the future is uncertain. She has observed, time and again, how politics, public opinion, and internal family dynamics can complicate what might otherwise seem straightforward. In planning Charlotte's rise, she has not only focused on preparation but on timing, choosing the exact moment when Charlotte's readiness, the family's cohesion, and public perception all align. What makes this so remarkable is that very few in the public, and even few within royal circles, realize the degree of autonomy and exercises behind the scenes. She is not a figure swayed by gossip, opinion polls, or fleeting controversies. Her approach is analytical, strategic, and, at times, ruthless in its precision. Every meeting, every instruction, every observation of Charlotte's growth is part of a larger chessboard, and it moves with patience and foresight that few can rival. This hidden planning has not been without challenges. There have been moments when Charlotte's youth and curiosity have collided with Anne's expectations. Small mistakes, misjudged remarks, or misinterpreted cues could have derailed years of preparation. But Anne has been unrelenting in her mentorship, blending firmness with guidance, discipline with encouragement. And in doing so, she has not only prepared Charlotte for public duty but instilled the mental resilience necessary to survive in an environment where every move is scrutinized. Even more striking is the way Anne has handled secrecy. She understands the power of perception in monarchy. The public narrative is controlled not only by what is revealed, but by what is withheld. And so, while Charlotte appears to the public as a happy, confident, and precocious young princess, very little of the rigorous preparation and behind-the-scenes guidance is visible. It is a delicate balance, fostering Charlotte's independence while ensuring that the skills, knowledge, and poise she requires are fully developed. Anne's plans also extend into the realm of public relations and media strategy. The Princess Royal title carries visibility, and visibility carries risk, and has long been aware of how tabloids, pundits, and social media influencers can distort narratives, create controversy, and shift public opinion in an instant. Charlotte's rise has been carefully managed to minimize such risks. Public appearances are chosen to highlight her poise and competence. Charitable engagements are strategically timed to reinforce her values and priorities. Even interactions with the press are orchestrated to ensure that Charlotte's character shines through without exposing her to unnecessary scrutiny. But there is one element of Anne's hidden plans that has remained shrouded in mystery, one decision that could redefine the narrative entirely. Insiders hint that Anne considered other options, perhaps even delaying the conferment of the Princess Royal title or selecting a different candidate entirely. But her instincts, honed by decades of observation and experience, led her to Charlotte. She recognized not just talent, but character, not just potential, but resilience. And this choice, she believes, will ensure that the legacy of the Princess Royal continues in capable hands. Of course, such meticulous planning comes with its own risks. The higher the preparation, the higher the stakes. Any deviation from the plan, any misstep by Charlotte, any unexpected reaction from other family members, has the potential to unravel years of effort. Anne is acutely aware of this. She has spent countless hours rehearsing scenarios, predicting outcomes, and planning contingencies. Every variable is considered, yet she understands that no plan can fully anticipate the unpredictability of life or of the monarchy itself. What makes this story even more compelling is the emotional dimension. While Anne's decisions are often framed in terms of strategy and preparation, they are also deeply personal. She is, after all, passing a piece of herself to the next generation. The title of Princess Royal is not merely a ceremonial honor. It embodies decades of sacrifice, responsibility, and moral authority. To entrust it to Charlotte is to express both confidence and vulnerability. Anne is aware that her granddaughter will inherit not just a title, but the hopes, expectations, and even the mistakes of previous generations. And it is this emotional weight that makes Charlotte's rise so profound, and so potentially perilous. And yet, despite all the strategy, preparation, and careful planning, there remains a single, unpredictable factor: human nature. Charlotte, though prepared and observant, is still growing, still learning, still discovering the world and her place within it. The monarchy, for all its traditions and structures, is ultimately shaped by people, their choices, their desires, and their imperfections. Its hidden plans are powerful, but they are not invincible. The next chapter of this story will reveal how Charlotte responds when those carefully laid plans collide with reality, and how the balance between preparation and improvisation becomes the ultimate test of her readiness. But what came next would test not just Charlotte's skill, but her courage, and the entire monarchy would be watching. Imagine being a child and knowing that one day, the entire world will watch your every word, every gesture, every smile, and judge you accordingly. That is the reality Princess Charlotte has been preparing for, often without the public realizing the magnitude of what she is learning behind palace walls. While other children her age focus on homework, playdates, and weekend outings, Charlotte has been undergoing a rigorous, multi-layered education designed not just to cultivate intelligence, but to forge resilience, poise, and a deep understanding of the world she will one day influence. The first question is obvious. How does one even begin to prepare a child for such responsibility? The answer lies in a combination of careful guidance, real-world exposure, and subtle mentorship. Princess, and ever the strategic planner, has orchestrated Charlotte's education with a precision that rivals military operations. Her philosophy has always been that preparation is not merely about academic achievement or public speaking skills. It is about instilling a mindset capable of navigating pressure, ambiguity, and moral complexity. From an early age, Charlotte was introduced to a curriculum that went far beyond traditional schooling. While she attends a world-class school like her peers, her lessons extend far beyond the classroom, into experiences that shape character and judgment. Charlotte's tutors, chosen for their expertise and discretion, play a pivotal role. They are not merely educators. They are mentors, guiding her through an intensive program that combines history, diplomacy, cultural studies, and practical etiquette. But what sets this training apart is the immersive nature of her learning. Lessons are often delivered in context, not as abstract concepts. A discussion on British constitutional history might coincide with a visit to Westminster, where Charlotte can see the machinery of government in action. A lesson in philanthropy may be paired with behind-the-scenes work at a charitable organization, allowing her to observe strategy, leadership, and impact firsthand. Every session is meticulously designed to connect theory with practice, knowledge with action. But education is not only about academics. Charlotte's upbringing has been a masterclass in emotional intelligence and social awareness. Princess Anne, who has long emphasized the importance of empathy and integrity, has ensured that Charlotte is exposed to a variety of human experiences, including those outside the royal bubble. She has visited hospitals, military bases, and social programs, engaging with people from all walks of life. These experiences are designed to cultivate perspective and humility, essential qualities for anyone who will one day represent the monarchy at home and abroad. And what makes this approach remarkable is that Charlotte absorbs these lessons naturally, internalizing them without ever feeling that she is being trained or tested. It is the subtlety of this preparation that distinguishes her from others. She is learning not just to perform, but to understand, to connect, and to lead with authenticity. Discipline has also been central to Charlotte's training. Princess Anne is known for her exacting standards and unwavering commitment to responsibility. These values have been instilled in Charlotte from a young age. Her daily routines are carefully structured, balancing education, extracurricular activities, and public engagements. She has been taught the importance of punctuality, preparation, and attention to detail. But Anne's mentorship goes beyond rigid schedules. It also emphasizes flexibility, adaptability, and the ability to make sound decisions under pressure. Charlotte is not merely rehearsing for public appearances. She is being trained to think critically, anticipate challenges, and respond with confidence, even when situations are unpredictable or fraught with scrutiny. An extraordinary aspect of Charlotte's education is the role of observation. princess and believes that one of the most powerful ways to learn is by watching others. Charlotte has spent hours observing her grandmother in action, noting how she handles meetings, public events, and charitable work with composure and authority. She has watched and navigate delicate situations with diplomacy, maintain personal boundaries in a world obsessed with visibility, and wield influence subtly but effectively. These lessons are absorbed in real time, often without direct instruction, shaping Charlotte's understanding of leadership in a way that is organic and deeply internalized. Another hidden layer of Charlotte's training involves crisis simulation. While the public may see a carefully curated set of appearances and events behind the scenes, Charlotte is occasionally exposed to controlled scenarios that test her judgment, poise, and problem-solving abilities. These exercises may involve responding to challenging questions, managing unexpected changes in schedule, or negotiating the complexities of interpersonal dynamics. The goal is not to create stress, but to cultivate resilience and adaptability, qualities that will be indispensable when she assumes the title of Princess Royal. But Charlotte's education has also been about balancing public expectation with personal authenticity. One of Anne's greatest insights, born from decades of experience, is that effective royals cannot merely perform for the camera. They must embody the values, principles, and empathy that the public admires. Charlotte has been guided to develop a sense of self-awareness, to understand her own strengths and weaknesses, and to recognize the importance of sincerity in her interactions. She has been taught that authenticity is not a liability but a form of power, a lesson that will become critical as she navigates both family dynamics and public life. Alongside these structured elements, Charlotte's extracurricular pursuits have been strategically selected to reinforce her education. From horseback riding to music, languages, and even public speaking, each activity has been chosen to cultivate confidence, discipline, and cultural literacy. Princess Anne's approach is holistic. The goal is to develop a young royal who is versatile, composed, and intellectually agile. Charlotte's achievements in these areas are impressive, not simply as markers of accomplishment, but as indicators of a carefully nurtured capacity to excel under scrutiny. Despite this extensive preparation, there have been moments when Charlotte has faced the same challenges that confront any child: fatigue, self-doubt, and the natural pressures of growing up. What sets her apart, however, is the framework of support around her, and, along with William and Catherine, has provided guidance, encouragement, and reassurance, fostering resilience while allowing Charlotte to navigate setbacks and learn from mistakes. It is a delicate balance between protection and exposure, guidance and autonomy, one that Anne has perfected over decades of observing not just her own children but generations of royal successors. And yet, as rigorous as this preparation has been, there is one aspect that cannot be taught: the ability to lead under pressure, to embody authority, and to inspire trust. These qualities are cultivated through experience, observation, and personal reflection. Charlotte has been given opportunities to practice in small, controlled ways, but the ultimate test will come when she assumes the Princess Royal title, a role that demands not only knowledge and skill but courage, composure, and moral authority. The stakes are high, and the scrutiny relentless. Every action Charlotte takes, every word she speaks, will be examined in a way few children ever experience. And while her preparation has been meticulous, it cannot shield her entirely from the unpredictability of public life. What will truly define her success is not just what she has learned, but how she responds when faced with the unexpected, the controversial, and the emotionally charged moments that characterize life in the royal spotlight. So as the day approaches when Princess Charlotte will officially inherit the title of Princess Royal, it is clear that her education and training have been extraordinary, not merely in breadth, not merely in intensity, but in the subtlety and thoughtfulness with which it has been delivered. From academic excellence to emotional intelligence, from observational learning to crisis simulation, Charlotte has been prepared for a future that few children, or even adults, could fully comprehend. But even the most carefully prepared young royal cannot anticipate every challenge. As Charlotte steps closer to assuming her grandmother's title, there is one final obstacle, one hidden test, that will push her to the limits of her skill, her patience, and her resilience. And when that moment arrives, the world will witness not just a transfer of titles, but a true test of character, one that will determine whether Charlotte is ready to carry the legacy of the Princess Royal into a new era. And what comes next will surprise everyone, challenging not only Charlotte, but the very traditions she is about to inherit. Royal life is often imagined as a world of glittering ceremonies, dazzling gowns, and perfectly orchestrated public appearances. But behind the palace gates, the reality is far more complicated. Relationships are layered with duty, expectation, loyalty, and, at times, rivalry. No one understands this better than Princess Charlotte, whose path to becoming the next Princess Royal has not only involved rigorous preparation and mentorship from Princess, but also navigating a web of family dynamics that are as delicate as they are potentially explosive. The first question that comes to mind is, how does one prepare a child to step into a role that even seasoned adults struggle to navigate? Part of the answer lies in observation. Watching how the adults around her manage, negotiate, and sometimes clash in the pursuit of influence and responsibility. Charlotte, perceptive beyond her years, has been quietly taking notes, both consciously and unconsciously. She has seen the subtle power plays that define royal interactions, the carefully worded comments, the strategic smiles, the restrained gestures that communicate more than words ever could. These early lessons, absorbed in silence, are shaping her understanding of not just duty but the human element of leadership. Family tensions are inevitable in any household, but in a royal family, where tradition, protocol, and public scrutiny magnify every interaction, even minor disagreements can become monumental. Behind closed doors, there have been subtle disputes about how Charlotte's role should be framed and supported. Some senior family members have expressed concern over her age, questioning whether a young princess could shoulder the responsibilities of the Princess Royal without faltering under pressure. Others have privately praised Charlotte's intelligence and poise, arguing that her early exposure to royal duties makes her uniquely qualified to succeed and these conflicting perspectives have created an environment of quiet tension. A tension that Charlotte is learning to navigate with a combination of instinct and guidance. Princess Anne, with her decades of experience, understands that family dynamics can be both a source of strength and a potential obstacle. Her approach has been to insulate Charlotte from unnecessary conflict while allowing her to develop an understanding of the interpersonal landscape she will inherit. This is no small feat. In a family where hierarchy, tradition, and public perception intersect at every turn, knowing whom to trust, how to respond, and when to assert oneself is as important as mastering etiquette or public speaking. Charlotte's mentors have emphasized that influence is rarely about authority alone. It is about relationships, perception, and strategic patience. One of the most delicate dynamics involves Charlotte's immediate family, her parents, Prince William and Catherine. While supportive, they are acutely aware of the pressures their daughter faces. William, deeply familiar with the challenges of public scrutiny, has encouraged Charlotte to observe, listen, and learn before acting. Catherine has provided emotional support, ensuring that Charlotte's confidence grows alongside her understanding of duty. Yet, even within this supportive environment, there are moments of tension. Debates over school choices, charitable engagements, and public appearances reveal the constant negotiation required to balance personal growth with public expectation. Extended family members add another layer of complexity. Princess and siblings, King Charles and Prince Andrew, as well as cousins and other royals, each have perspectives shaped by experience, ambition, and loyalty. While most support Charlotte's rise in principle, there have been subtle disagreements over timing, public messaging, and the degree of visibility Charlotte should have at such a young age. In private discussions, some have questioned whether the younger generation is truly ready to assume roles historically reserved for adults. These discussions, though rarely seen by the public, influence decisions about appearances, engagements, and the overall narrative surrounding Charlotte's ascension. Royal aides and palace staff also play a crucial role in these dynamics. Trusted advisors, responsible for guiding the family through logistical, strategic, and emotional complexities, act as both mentors and mediators. Their influence, while often behind the scenes, can be decisive. They help manage potential conflicts, ensure that Charlotte's preparation remains on track, and provide insight into how the wider public may perceive her actions. But even among staff, loyalties can vary, and navigating this web requires not just skill, but an acute awareness of human nature, a lesson Charlotte is learning in real time. Interestingly, humor and light-hearted moments have become a subtle tool for managing tension. Charlotte, with her naturally witty and observant personality, has a knack for diffusing moments of stress with well-timed humor or charming observations. Princess and has encouraged this, recognizing that a sense of perspective is essential for anyone stepping into a high-pressure role. Humor, in this context, is more than entertainment. It is strategy, resilience, and an early lesson in emotional intelligence. Yet, not all tension can be mitigated by observation or humor. Some challenges arise from conflicting public expectations. The monarchy is constantly balancing tradition with modern relevance, and Charlotte's role embodies this intersection. Different factions within the family have differing opinions on how visible she should be, which causes subtle friction behind the scenes. Some argue that she should maintain a measured presence, allowing her skills and character to speak for themselves. Others believe that early visibility is essential to cultivate public recognition and support. These disagreements, while not publicized, shape the decisions about Charlotte's schedule, education, and mentorship opportunities. The most challenging moments often arise from the invisible pressure of legacy. Charlotte is not stepping into a neutral role. She is inheriting the reputation, accomplishments, and sometimes the mistakes of her grandmother, Princess Anne. Family members, conscious of this legacy, are keenly aware that Charlotte's successes or missteps will reflect not only on her, but on the broader family network. This implicit pressure can lead to micromanaging, subtle critiques, and occasional disagreements over the best path forward. All dynamics that Charlotte observes, internalizes, and learns from. Even more delicate are the interpersonal challenges that emerge when competing ambitions intersect with loyalty. In any family, particularly one with a hierarchical structure like the royal family, questions of influence, recognition, and precedent inevitably arise. Princess Anne's careful stewardship ensures that Charlotte is prepared for this reality, teaching her that true authority is as much about patience and strategic observation as it is about action. Charlotte is learning to anticipate motives, assess intentions, and recognize when to act decisively versus when to wait, lessons that will prove invaluable as she assumes the title of Princess Royal. Despite the complexity, there is also a sense of cohesion that underscores these tensions. Most family members recognize Charlotte's exceptional potential and are quietly supportive of her rise. But it is the subtle interplay of personalities, historical relationships, and unspoken expectations that gives the narrative its depth and tension. Charlotte is not merely a passive observer. She is actively learning how to navigate this intricate ecosystem. Each conversation, each engagement, and each decision she witnesses behind the palace doors contributes to her understanding of leadership, diplomacy, and family dynamics. The lessons extend beyond strategy and tact. Charlotte is learning resilience, how to maintain composure when disagreements arise, how to manage emotional responses, and how to balance personal desires with duty. Princess Anne, through her own example, demonstrates that resilience is not about suppression of feeling, but about channeling emotion into purposeful action. Charlotte has been absorbing these lessons, often unconsciously, as she observes how adults around her manage disappointment, conflict, and expectation. Yet, even with all this preparation, the unpredictable nature of family dynamics presents challenges that cannot be scripted or rehearsed. The interplay of personalities, the subtle competitions, the unspoken hierarchies, these are elements that Charlotte must navigate without error. And as she approaches the moment when she will officially assume the title of Princess Royal, the tension behind closed doors is reaching a peak. Alliances will be tested, loyalties clarified, and one misstep could shift the narrative in unexpected ways. And as the chapter closes, one revelation emerges from within these private corridors of power. Not all family members are entirely supportive of Charlotte's ascension. A quiet, simmering opposition exists, subtle but potentially influential, and the implications of this undercurrent have yet to fully reveal themselves. What happens when private ambition collides with tradition and when loyalty is tested against opportunity? Charlotte is about to find out, and what comes next will change the course of her rise in ways no one could anticipate. But what happened behind the palace doors next would threaten to upend everything and had meticulously planned, and it would leave Charlotte facing her first true test of leadership. When the announcement finally came, the world paused. Headlines flashed across screens in London, New York, Sydney, and countless other cities. Princess and passes her crown, the Princess Royal title, to Princess Charlotte. Social media erupted with disbelief, excitement, and speculation. Royal commentators, journalists, and historians scrambled to contextualize the event, while the public debated whether Charlotte, so young, could truly step into a role steeped in decades of responsibility. Yet, as dramatic as the public reaction was, it barely scratched the surface of what had actually taken place behind the palace walls. The ceremony itself was unlike anything the royal family had orchestrated in recent memory. It was not just a handover of a title. It was a carefully choreographed event designed to balance tradition, symbolism, and emotion. But what made it unprecedented was the level of personal involvement by Princess Anne. She did not simply hand over the insignia or give a short speech. Instead, she created a deeply personal, almost intimate moment, one that revealed not only Charlotte's readiness but also the depth of the relationship between grandmother and granddaughter. The morning of the ceremony began quietly, with Charlotte arriving at the palace accompanied by a select group of mentors, aides, and her parents. The air was thick with anticipation, tension, and emotion. And, ever composed in public, revealed a rare moment of vulnerability behind closed doors. In private, she shared memories, lessons, and advice, some practical, some philosophical, that Charlotte would carry with her for the rest of her life. A crown is not a symbol of power, Anne said quietly. It is a responsibility. Every choice you make, every gesture you display, will ripple far beyond this room. From the outset, Charlotte understood that this was not merely a ceremonial transition. It was a test, a chance to demonstrate poise, wisdom, and the ability to embody the values that had defined Anne's legacy. Observers who were permitted to witness the ceremony later described the tension as palpable. Even seasoned staff who had served the royal family for decades admitted they had never seen such a combination of youthful nervousness and disciplined composure. Charlotte had spent years preparing for public moments, but nothing could fully replicate the gravity of officially assuming a title long held by a grandmother she deeply admired. One of the most remarkable elements of the ceremony was the subtle, almost imperceptible guidance provided by Anne. She led Charlotte through each step, from the careful placement of the Princess Royal insignia to the delivery of her first public remarks. Every gesture was deliberate, designed to instill confidence while reinforcing the weight of tradition. Anne's mentorship during the event exemplified her lifelong philosophy. True leadership is cultivated, not performed. Charlotte absorbed each instruction with remarkable focus, her youthful composure disguising the immense responsibility she had assumed in that moment. The public portion of the ceremony was equally extraordinary. Unlike previous handovers of titles, which often involve formal announcements, Charlotte's introduction as Princess Royal included a carefully crafted series of appearances designed to convey competence, maturity, and approachability simultaneously. She addressed a select audience of dignitaries, military personnel, and royal aides, delivering remarks that were concise, insightful, and deeply respectful of the legacy she was inheriting. Many observers were stunned, not merely by her eloquence, but by the sense that Charlotte genuinely understood the implications of the role she had just assumed. Yet, even as the ceremony unfolded flawlessly on the surface, there were undercurrents of tension. Some family members, while outwardly supportive, remained skeptical about Charlotte's readiness. Their concerns, though unspoken publicly, lingered in subtle ways. A brief pause here, a raised eyebrow there. These silent judgments underscored the complexities of royal life, where approval and critique are often intertwined, and where personal relationships are inseparable from public duties. Charlotte, acutely aware of these dynamics, demonstrated not only her preparedness but also a keen awareness of the subtleties that define royal influence. Behind the ceremonial veneer, there were moments that tested Charlotte's resilience. At one point, a minor protocol misstep nearly caused a ripple of tension among staff and advisors. While minor to the casual observer, it was a stark reminder that even the most meticulously prepared young royal can encounter unexpected challenges. Charlotte handled the situation with remarkable calm, correcting the issue discreetly and without drawing attention. It was a defining moment, demonstrating her ability to navigate pressure gracefully, a skill that would become increasingly essential as she assumed the full scope of her new responsibilities. The emotional resonance of the ceremony was heightened by personal touches orchestrated by Anne. Throughout the event, subtle gestures conveyed lessons, love, and trust. A gentle nod here, a reassuring smile there, communicated far more than words ever could. Those who observed the ceremony noted the intensity of the bond between grandmother and granddaughter, a relationship that has been quietly shaping Charlotte's character for years. For many, it was a rare glimpse into the personal side of royal life, where mentorship, love, and legacy intersect in profound ways. But the ceremony also highlighted the public dimension of Charlotte's role. Every appearance, every gesture, every word spoken would be analyzed, dissected, and scrutinized by media outlets, commentators, and social media audiences around the world. Charlotte had been prepared for this scrutiny, yet the reality of stepping into a position of such visibility at a young age cannot be overstated. The pressure to meet expectations, honor tradition, and project confidence simultaneously is immense, and it is precisely what makes Charlotte's performance so extraordinary. Interestingly, humor and charm played a subtle role in Charlotte's presentation. Even amidst the tension, she displayed moments of lightness and warmth. Small smiles, carefully chosen phrases, and a natural engagement with her audience. These touches humanized her, balancing the gravity of the ceremony with the accessibility that has endeared her to the public. Anne's guidance, combined with Charlotte's innate poise, ensured that the event resonated on multiple levels, as a formal handover of authority, as a personal moment of mentorship, and as a public demonstration of Charlotte's emerging capabilities. Yet, despite the outward success of the ceremony, there were undercurrents that few noticed. Behind the scenes, subtle disagreements and differing opinions about Charlotte's public role were simmering. Some advisors debated the pacing of her appearances, others questioned the selection of engagements, and a few expressed concern about how she would navigate unexpected crises in the public eye. These tensions, though carefully managed, underscored the reality that succession in the royal family is never straightforward. It is a complex interplay of tradition, strategy, and human relationships, and Charlotte was stepping into the center of it all. The most significant moment of the day, however, occurred in a private reflection after the ceremony concluded. Anne and Charlotte shared a quiet conversation, away from cameras and observers, in which Anne imparted lessons that went beyond protocol or public expectation. She spoke of integrity, resilience, and the importance of making decisions guided by principle rather than popularity. She reminded Charlotte that the title she had inherited was not merely a symbol, but a responsibility, a charge to act with courage, wisdom, and compassion. For Charlotte, this conversation crystallized the magnitude of her new role and the expectations she would carry moving forward. As the day drew to a close, the public applauded, media outlets buzzed with analysis, and Charlotte returned to the private spaces of the palace, officially Princess Royal. But even as the ceremony ended, one truth became immediately clear: the real challenges were only beginning. Titles, appearances, and public perception are only part of the equation. The unseen tests, navigating family dynamics, managing public scrutiny, and assuming responsibility for initiatives and causes, were yet to come. Charlotte had passed the first stage with grace, but the path ahead would test her in ways that no ceremony, no preparation, could fully anticipate. And then came the whisper that would shift everything. An unexpected revelation from within the palace, a piece of information that threatened to upend the carefully orchestrated narrative and challenge Charlotte in ways that even Princess Anne had not foreseen. What happened next would test not only Charlotte's skill and composure, but her very character, and the world would be watching every step. Behind every royal success, There is a network of unseen forces, guiding, advising, and sometimes challenging the path forward. For Princess Charlotte, stepping into the role of Princess Royal is not just about inheritance. It is about mastering a complex web of responsibilities, public expectations, and personal development. And to navigate this intricate world, Charlotte has allies, mentors who shape her understanding of duty, influence, and leadership in ways the public will never fully see. The first, and perhaps most obvious, ally is Princess Anne herself. Anne's mentorship, however, is far from conventional. It is not a matter of simply giving advice or correcting behavior. It is an immersive, often subtle process, and has long believed that true leadership is cultivated, not conferred. She observes Charlotte, analyzes her reactions, and offers guidance that is tailored to both her strengths and her areas of growth. From the way Charlotte engages with staff to how she responds to challenging questions from the media, Anne's lessons are continuous, embedded in everyday interactions, and designed to build competence and confidence organically. But Anne is not Charlotte's only guide. Palace insiders have revealed that a small circle of trusted aides, tutors, and advisors play a critical role in shaping the young princess's development. These mentors are chosen not for their loyalty alone, but for their expertise in areas ranging from diplomacy and public relations to historical knowledge and philanthropic strategy. They act as both teachers and sounding boards, providing Charlotte with the tools she needs to navigate the unprecedented responsibilities she now faces. Every interaction is an opportunity to learn, every assignment a test of judgment, and every challenge a chance to grow. One of Charlotte's earliest mentors, who has worked closely with her since childhood, emphasized the importance of observational learning. Charlotte has been encouraged to watch her grandmother, other senior royals, and even staff, absorbing lessons not just from direct instruction, but from subtle nuances in behavior and decision-making. For instance, how Anne handles a delicate discussion with a senior aide, or how she navigates an unexpected question during a public event, provides Charlotte with insights that no textbook could offer. These observational lessons are designed to teach her the unspoken rules of influence and authority, skills that will be essential as she assumes the Princess Royal title. Equally important is Charlotte's exposure to external mentors. Experts in diplomacy, international relations, and charitable work, who provide her with knowledge and experience outside the traditional royal sphere. These figures are carefully selected for their discretion, expertise, and ability to challenge Charlotte intellectually. Through private sessions, immersive experiences, and strategic discussions, she has gained a sophisticated understanding of global issues, cultural diplomacy, and leadership principles. These mentors are not only educators. They are gatekeepers to a wider world, preparing Charlotte to engage with complex matters at a level rarely expected of someone her age. Another layer of mentorship comes from family allies, including her parents, Prince William and Catherine. Their approach balances guidance with trust, allowing Charlotte to exercise judgment while providing a safety net. William, who has himself navigated the pressures of public life from a young age, emphasizes observation and reflection. Catherine, meanwhile, instills empathy and interpersonal skills, ensuring that Charlotte's leadership is grounded not just in competence, but in humanity. Together, they provide a complement to Anne's mentorship, creating a comprehensive support system that combines strategy, emotional intelligence, and moral grounding. But mentors do more than teach. They also provide perspective. For Charlotte, this is crucial. The pressures of royal life are not abstract concepts. They are lived experiences, magnified by public scrutiny and historical precedent. Mentors help her contextualize these challenges, offering insight into how past princess royals, including Anne herself, navigated similar pressures. They emphasize lessons in resilience, decision-making under pressure, and the importance of maintaining authenticity while fulfilling public expectations. These insights prepare Charlotte not only to perform her duties, but to understand the deeper significance of her role. Interestingly, the mentorship extends to unexpected figures. Palace insiders hint at retired royals, former aides, and even trusted members of the military and diplomatic corps who have been quietly observing Charlotte's development and providing guidance behind the scenes. These individuals bring a wealth of experience, offering lessons in negotiation, strategic thinking, and crisis management. Their involvement underscores a critical point. Charlotte's rise is not the result of innate talent alone. It is the culmination of decades of careful preparation, guided by a network of skilled mentors who understand the stakes of royal responsibility. Of course, mentorship is not without its challenges. Charlotte must navigate differing perspectives, sometimes conflicting advice, and the inevitable trial-and-error process of learning to make decisions independently. Her mentors deliberately allow space for mistakes and reflection, recognizing that resilience and judgment are forged through experience, not merely instruction. This approach ensures that Charlotte develops confidence in her own abilities, while remaining grounded in the wisdom imparted by those who guide her.